I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, but he has been cited over the last week, taking care of business and actually having a pretty good time. Wish I could have some of that time as well. With that being said, I want to say welcome to episode 677 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, a show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we call it HBCU Sports Pedagogy. If I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, that's Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational and consulting data analytics. While I'm here, I'll open it up. Then we'll bring on Charles as we bring that in there. But let me put this out there. I know a lot of people are getting the news that the attorney, Tony Buzbee, law firm, filed a lawsuit against Dr. Granger. It's Kevin Granger of Texas Southern University on behalf of, he said, their client, Houston Attorney Buzbee led State Attorney General Kenny Paxton's defense team when he was under accusations for at the Texas level in terms of the government there. He was fighting impeachment. Buzbee also led the defense attorney, former Governor Rick Perry, if you remember that, back in 2015, against abuse of office charges in Travis County. He filed a lawsuit again against Deshaun Watson. Many people saw that, as well as Jay-Z. So that is the attorney that you are hearing from. Dr. Kevin Granger, the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Texas Southern University, has been accused of assault by a university staff member in a lawsuit recently filed by Houston attorney Tony Buzbee law firm. A representative from Texas Southern informed HBCU legends that Dr. Granger has been placed on administrative leave while university investigates the allegations. With that being said, just wanted to be upfront and put that out there. With that being said, let's bring on Charles Bishop so we can get into some other talk of the news of the day in the HBCU sports. Before we do that, let me ask you, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. As we are definitely turn the page into June now, summer months, so we get into a little sports business. So looking forward to some conversations throughout the course of the summer where we sort of take a deeper dive on the business aspect of sports and HBCU sports.
The House NCAA lawsuit still out there, figuring out where that's going to end. All this conference churning July. So we'll see if there's anything that happens, particularly HBCU related, or anything outside of that that may affect HBCU programs and conferences, whether that's from the Division II level, NEI level, or from the NCAA Division I level as well. And then you have some consternations in terms of the financial situations with these Power 2, as I like to call it, Super 2. Many people refer to as the Power 4, Autonomous 4, once the Autonomous 5 So we'll kind of see how that gets into it. And then we like to do traditionally over the summers, we bring in researchers. As you know, they're doing research on HBCU sports, see if we can get into a little more of the business in terms of research as well. So I'm fascinated to see what that looks like. As we kind of end things, we'll get into the fact of what that looks like. I know we'll have Coach Dixon on. We'll bring him after our first break. We'll open up, continue with our news, and we'll bring him in about after our first break, leading into about 6:15 or so. But as we do this, I want to get in a little bit of additional HBCU news. What's on your mind in terms of this news front HBCU week as we start out things this Tuesday, June the 3rd?
Well, sure. Of course, as we were all following this past weekend, but Bethune-Cookman baseball, they fall to number 19 team, Northeastern. Bethune-Cookman saw its 2025 season come to a close on Saturday afternoon as the Wildcats fell 4-3 to the number 19th ranked Northeastern in an elimination game of the Tallahassee Regional, taking place at Mike Martin Field at Dig Hauser Stadium. So Northeastern, they're 49-10 on the season. They scored 2 runs on top of the ninth to break a 2-2 deadlock after 8 innings of play. So tough loss for Bethune-Cookman, but it was a tremendous season for Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. And kudos go to Coach Johnny Hernandez and Hale Wildcats.
Yeah, they got it done. Regular season championship with all teams in one division. You also got the big championship in the tournament with a walk-off home run deep to 400 feet center field. Interesting what that looks like. So it'll be fascinating to kind of see how that continues to move forward as well. Shout out, as you talked about that Northwestern, I don't know if people realize that they were ranked number 19, top 25 in a lot of these polls. That's why they got the number 2 mark in there. But if you saw that game, you saw that they were right on the cusp. A couple of plays in the top of the ninth that allowed a Northeastern to spread out their lead, and it was just enough to hold on. As Bethune-Cookman does what they do late in games, and they certainly fight back. Had a runner right there in scoring position after some action in the field went their way, but couldn't find a way to tie things up to see if they could push things out. And this is after playing a really solid game against Florida State. They did win that region. It's going on to the Super Regional. They lost to them 6-2, 5-2 late in that game, tied it during that game 2-2. So it'll be interesting to see in terms of what that looks like. So just wanted to give a little update in terms of the pitching there. Also, SWAC spring meetings are coming up in a couple of weeks, 12th to the 14th. A lot of things on the docket. People looking at in terms of maybe Thursday, Saturday, Monday games. Is that up for further discussion? Some people talking about that. So it'll be fascinating to see if that is pushed back. Obviously, leading into this confirmation that the basketball tournament is going to all 12 members. How does that affect particular any team and maybe hit by APR? How does that function moving forward in terms of what that looks like? So be interesting to kind of see what is the news coming out the meetings in terms of the coaches, SWAs, ADs and VPs of athletics and the presidents and chancellors. What are they doing? They also have the announcement of the academic awards during that time. So it's fascinating to see what programs are doing well academically. We talked about athletically, and kudos goes to Alabama State in terms of what they were able to do overall. Alabama State in terms of what they were able to do in terms of the men's sports, and Jackson State, what they were able to do on the women's side, getting those individual awards. So a lot of shout out in terms of what that looks like. So just wanted to get everybody prepared for that, which means also MEAC Media Day. MEAC spring meetings upon us. So fascinating to see what that looks like. But before you do that, you still got some NCAA national championships. You want to talk a little bit about that, Charles?
Yeah, let me pull it back up real quick as we take a look at the NCAA national championships. Several student athletes from the Southwestern Athletic Conference punched their tickets to the 2025 NCAA Division I Men's and Women's Outdoor Track and Field Championships, with the first round of the 2025 Division I Outdoor Track and Field Championships complete the top 12 competitors from each individual event, and the top 12 teams from each relay event advance from each first round site to the national championship meet. So let's take a look at those who will be moving on. From Alabama State, Jamarian Stubbs in the one. He'll be competing in a 100 meter and 200 meter. Anthony Woods also qualified to go to Eugene, as he will be competing in triple jump. Florida A&M's Kirk Dawkins, he qualified in the 800 meters. Jackson State's LaDamian Rao qualified in the triple jump. Southern's Roman Smith qualified in the high jump. And UAPB on the men's side, Jordan Pierre qualified in the 400 meter and 4x100 relay, as well as 4x100 relay team from UAPB. That includes Dwight Henry, Jared Sylvester, Jordan Pierre, and Ross Waldron. So definitely want to give kudos to those individuals who will be moving on to participate in the Nationals in Eugene, Oregon.
Good stuff, good stuff. Let me give you the same update on the MEAC side from women's and men's track and field individuals and teams that secured 4 spots in Eugene for the Nationals on that side. On the men's side, that's Howard University's men's track and field program punched 2 tickets to Eugene, Oregon for the 2025 NCAA Outdoor Championship after Friday's exciting quarterfinals in the regionals there. A graduate of Noah Langford led the way in dominant fashion, winning his 400-meter hurdles heat with an automatic qualifying time of 49.5. It was his personal best showing up and showing out. Only fellow HBCU alum Xavier Taylor of North Carolina A&T State posted a faster mark in the quarterfinals round of 49.18. Providence State's Jared Gentle secures the other AQ spot at 49.78, Charles. Talking about the talent there, Langford sophomore Emerson McKendra and freshman Cameron Brazil and Elijah Grant earned the second entry in terms of what that looks like. The fastest mark in running it, I should say, a non-automatic qualifying, but he did get in there time at 3.03.88 in the 4x400 relay race. South Florida holds the fastest mark heading into Eugene with the 3.01.52 time, edging out Florida's 3.02.01. Think about that. In the field, seniors Kyle Fisher, Chase Drury took part in the triple jump, but fell short in advancing Eugene. On the women's side, Nika Azemia resumed competition in the shot put after yesterday's postponement due to inclement weather. The Rhode Island native threw nearly 50 feet, 1503 meters. Came up short in moving forward. But those are the folks that got it done, those that came up just a little short. With that being said, let's take our first break, come back on the other side, and we have a guest that we'd like to introduce to you all and talk about how he is doing. With that, we'll be right back on the other side after this first break.
There's a shot. To right. Might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
This is Ryan Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's bring in Coach Larry Dixon to this show. He is the new head coach at Morehouse College. In fact, let me do this officially. Coach Larry Dixon was introduced as the 14th head basketball coach for Morehouse College on May 19th. Coach, how is it going? And welcome to what our listeners affectionately call the lab.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me. It's been, I will say, to put it lightly, a whirlwind. I had the press conference, I think, on Monday. And from there, I was just going. Got to get 8 or 9 players. Been able to solidify a few. But I was driving myself crazy in the ground. Wasn't sleeping so much so that my body shut down last week. So I was in the bed about 4 or 5 straight days in North Carolina. So I had to drive back here. And I went to the doctor that Friday before I drove back. And I had 101.8 fever. So I had to drive. I had to make it through. We had some stuff going on Saturday. So luckily and blessed, I am doing a lot better today. I'm about 85, 90%. I usually try to get 4 or 5 miles in a day. I was only able to get 2 in the day. I got to get adjusted to these hills.
I'm just only able to get 2. Yeah, drop the mic.
Up and down here in Atlanta, but it's been good. It's been good. It's been a whirlwind, but I'm excited and glad to be here.
Awesome.
We're glad to have you, and take care of yourself, Coach. There's only one Coach Dixon now.
I know that's right.
We appreciate it, and we certainly understand how the workout's going to be. If you going through it like that, you can really say, hey, look now. If I can get this done, I know you all can as young athletes.
No doubt about that.
So you have served on the coaching staff most recently of North Carolina State, had other stops, University of South Florida, Georgia Southern, Winthrop, East Carolina, South Carolina State, and St. Andrews College. One of those, obviously, HBCU, South Carolina State, but all of those are Division I.
Right.
So fascinating.
St. Andrews is Division II. I had to drive the bus.
And we want to give a shout out. We don't want to disrespect St. Andrews. Kind of fast there. But my question is, how does that allow you to have an opportunity to have that unique? You had HBCUs, Division I, Power 5, if you would allow me to use that, or some of now use Power 4, Super 2, Super 2, whatever. Power 2, whatever. I
think one thing with all the different experiences, and growing up, I felt like I could always get along with anybody. One of my goals growing up was, if I see somebody on the street, homeless or whatever, I want to be able to go talk to them and communicate with them, and then be able to go talk to the president of the United States or whoever, higher up. So my thing is, I try to be a person well-rounded. So I use that with my experiences. Each experience presents a different challenge, but also presents something good as well. So I just kind of take those experiences and use them. Some of those schools, they sound good, but in the grand scheme of things, they might not have had the highest budget in the league. So now we had to compete against other schools that was at top 1 or 2. Even when some people think that I've won championships at, we were the top 2 in the league in budget. We were more 5, 6. So you have to come up with creative ways to get around those obstacles. And I've learned some of those ways. So I don't look at it as being Division I. Obviously, they got a few more resources than some of the other schools, but I understand that. But at the end of the day, it's about people, and it's about basketball and treating people the right way. Last I checked, those rims up in Power 5 are the same height as the ones down here in SIAC. So that's what it boils down to, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Well said, and I agree with you. Last time I checked, they are the same height and the same circumference in terms of the basket rim itself. Charles, I saw your antennas go up, so I'm gonna let you jump in and get your follow up now.
Well, yeah, Coach Dixon, I kind of want to follow up on kind of what you were talking, because I'm curious from an infrastructure standpoint, what is one of the first things that you come in, doing as a new coach? I mean, I know you got to get players. That's number one. But when you take a look at the program itself, what is it that you wanted to come in and say, this is a job one that I need to do?
Well, one of the things is I gotta lay the groundwork and let people know that I'm me. And I'm not any of the past coaches, and they did a tremendous job of laying a really, really good foundation. So I don't think that is broken. I got to build upon that foundation. So one of the things is I'm trying to get out and get people to know me. And to me, that's very, very important. I think at the end of the day, whether I'm here or at the University of Russia, it doesn't matter. I want to run my program the same way. And again, it's about doing the right thing off the court. And if you hear my press conference, or if you hear me multiple times, I'm going to say this. I do not believe you can have success on the court if you're not doing the right thing off the court. So the infrastructure starts about the person and the program off the floor, because the basketball piece will take care of itself. And I truly believe that. But you got to do the right thing all the time, because we can't pick and choose what we're going to be excellent in. I try to win in everything. I got a brother. He's older now. I mean, not older than me, but he's older. But when he was a kid, I always tried to beat him in everything. I would never let him win. And that's just who I am. I want to win. And I think you have to be winners off the court. And then once you're a winner on the court, off the court, it'll translate to on the court. And then once you are successful on the court, it opens the door for life. People know who you are. You just start to win in life. And I truly believe that. And that's one of the things I'm going to try to translate to my guys and let them know that we got to do the right thing off the court. So when you say the infrastructure, that's what I want to start in. And that's what I want to hone in, doing the right thing off the court. And then it'll translate to on the court.
And you've had varied success at different programs, but I'm curious where we are right now within college basketball. A lot of turnover, and you see rosters churn, as Dr. Ville has pointed out. We see that season to season now. But is there a defining style that we see now in college basketball?
I think it's here for the long haul right now, because it's sad to say, guys, where you might have something great right here, you're going to always think something's great on the other side. And that's what kids, so I see, especially at the higher level, I see kids so many times being forced to leave a great situation because of their parents. The parents want to live through them. And then when you got so much money involved, the kid can go somewhere else and make a good enough money. If he does it right, be set for life. I got no problem with that. But I got the problem is when the parent makes the kid leave and takes the kid's money and doesn't set the kid up for life. That's the problem I got. So you're going to see so much turnover all the time. So every year the SID is going to have a hard time printing enough copies so people know who the rosters are. So that's just kind of in today's society.
Sure.
Let me follow up with the last question here, Coach, and I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a part to talk about things that we didn't ask you as a part of this. But what excites you about Morehouse? I know being in Atlanta, rich basketball area is probably one of the things, great alumni, but outside of that, and with that, also talk a little bit about, as you said, you want folks to know about you. What is something that you hadn't really been able to talk about, what's in your resume, or what you're able to say during your introduction? Tell us a little bit and the fans about yourself.
I think the first thing to answer the question about Morehouse, the thing that excites me is the brand. I have had an opportunity to talk, and as soon as I say Morehouse, people look at me a little different then. And me being an HBCU grad, I understand the power of Morehouse because we played those guys, and when we was like, oh, we playing Morehouse, whoa, that was a big thing for us. So I say that to say that the vision, my vision, it aligns with the Morehouse vision academically, because I got into this thing trying to help kids get degrees. And when you get that Morehouse degree, it means something. You can put it in your back pocket, because I want to recruit guys that want to make money and be pros. And when that ball starts bouncing, you can pull it out, and then you can use it and make a whole lot more money. And that's what the Morehouse brand does. Academically, it's second to none. So that's what excited me. My vision aligns with that. Now, my goal is to get the basketball piece of it up to the academic piece of it. Now, a kid can come to Morehouse and he doesn't have to settle. A lot of places you go, you get a good degree, but the basketball suffers a little bit. And then sometimes you get a great basketball experience, but the degree is not as good. They letting people in there that can barely breathe, but they getting in there. So I think at Morehouse, you can get both. You can get a great degree along with a great athletic experience. And now that's the best student athlete experience in college you can have. And so I think that excites me more so than anything. Second part to that question is, I don't know what people want to know, but the thing is, I am genuine. I'm true. I take care of all my guys. I saw one of my players I signed in South Florida. I told him to call me tomorrow. Caleb Murphy. I love guys that play for me. I love parents that trust their kids with me, because I have 2 kids. I ain't trusting my kids with just anybody. My son, and we dropped him off at Wilmington. I pat him on the back. Go do well, son. That daughter, I dropped off at A&T. I held on a little tighter. So I said it. When parents entrust me with their kids, it means something. So if anybody needs to know anything about me, I'm a genuine, true, good guy. I try to be. And I just want to, I want to make sure our guys graduate and be successful in life. And they don't ever have to give me a dime. I just want to be invited to their weddings, and maybe we can go have a milkshake afterwards. That's all I want. And then just see them live a good life, because we got so many kids that don't get that opportunity and they don't make it. So, and that's what I got into this thing for. But, I hope that lets people know a little bit. I didn't get to say in the press conference, but
I like that. I mean, that's well said. I think that's a perfect way folks to get a little more insight. And we want to give a shout out to Johnson C. Smith.
No doubt.
HBCU. We're going to make sure to give some love there.
There you go. Hey, I will say this. I would not be where I am today if it was not for Coach Joyner and Johnson C. Smith.
I love it.
Because, I'd say this, because the thing about him is I thought I was really good. I thought I was really, really good. When I was coming out of high school, and he kind of humbled me a little bit. I had to earn some playing time. What is that? And so I was looking first game. I was sitting there.
Yeah, I bet you there's a little bit on the defensive side that he wanted to see you.
Yeah. Now one thing I just say, when I got there, everybody could score. I played what I think is 3 of the top 5 all-time leading scorers at Smith, with Mark Sherrill, Columbus Parker, and Robert Boykins.
Yes, sir.
So I can remember vividly me having to go get an offense rebound. They begging for me to kick it out. I said, no, sir, no, sir. Because I won't get it back.
Oh, yeah. That's some good fun and some good stories. You got to make sure you set up that Johnson C. Smith Morehouse matchup. We got to see that.
Well, you know, it's funny. Coach Banks called me today. Say, hey, we like to bring you back in honor. I said, no, you're not tricking me. I know how Brave Boy treat people. I'm not going back in Brave Boy. He said, well,
give me a year.
But then we don't let it go.
We'll bring the team in there. That's right. Set them up. That's right.
But that may be something down the road. I think Harold and them had done a great job, and I'm thankful they had got the schedule done. So we won't have to. I won't have to deal with that for a while. So that's a good thing.
Good stuff. Well, it's great having you. Great dialogue. Good information. We're rooting for you, and certainly we'll continue to follow along when we get a chance as we get closer to the season. Some things kick off. We'll see about bringing you back in so we can talk a little bit about the expectations and how practice is getting things going as you get into the season. Certainly when we get around tournament time, we want to talk to you about that as well. But thank you, Coach Larry.
Anything you guys need from me, if you need me to come back, whatever you need, just let me know.
Absolutely.
Certainly, we'll do that. We'll take our second break. We'll come back on the other side and get right back into some more talk about HBCU sports for the week.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thank you, Coach.
I'm returning Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Attention football fans. The Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff is back in Atlanta on August 23rd. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC Southern. Join us at Center Park Stadium for a full day of tailgating, football, and bands. For more information and tickets, visit MEACSWACchallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As we come back to it, we have Charles Bishop. We should have AD Drew find his way in here to join us as well. As we do that and get back into some of this talk, I want to get in to some more updates and get your thoughts as we think about these schedules that are coming up for the football season a little bit. As we notice, we're hearing some updates. First about the Las Vegas Classic, Grambling, and Jackson State. It will be a classic aired on Black-owned broadcast network. HBCU football is headed to Las Vegas Strip this fall in inaugural Las Vegas HBCU basketball, as we talked about as this first announcement came out. Major milestone is not just in the location, but a legacy set inside glistening confines of Allegiant Stadium, state-of-art home of the Las Vegas Raiders of the NFL. The game will be featured a marquee matchup between two titans of black college football, Jackson State and Grambling State. Had many wars, if you would, on the gridiron and other sports for that matter. But now they're taking this show on the road to Las Vegas. With that being said, Charles, I was looking at you on my screen. I'm having a little just background, so I'm going to get back into it as I see you all here now in terms of on my phone there. But Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup with Grambling and Jackson State and Las Vegas? Are you finding your way to get to Las Vegas?
That's the game plan. The game plan is to be out there in Vegas, but I'm looking forward to it. As always, when you are talking about when Grambling and Jackson State get together, that's always a very huge game, and it depends on the Jackson State fan you talk to, because there are a lot of Jackson State fans, especially from the 70s and the early 80s, that still will say Grambling is Jackson State's biggest rival. You're talking about two teams that came into the SWAC same era, and there aren't a whole lot of teams that have bragging rights on Jackson State, but Grambling does. So that always makes it a really fun contest, because both fan bases, they really go with each other.
Who has the bragging rights as of late, Charles?
Grambling has the bragging rights as of last year. I would say prior to that, Jackson State had bragging rights over the Grambling Tigers. So, it's always, I enjoy it. And then the fact that it's on HBCU Go, again, it's another platform where we can get our HBCU football along with SWAC Digital as well. So, I'm really, it's a coup for HBCU Go to get this game.
We'll go to you, AD. I want to ask a little bit about this game, but Charles mentioned it's on HBCU Go. They have added it as one of the games that they're going to showcase in terms of the contract. What are your thoughts of HBCU Go getting to pick up this game in Las Vegas?
First of all, I think the optics of the game should be great, because for some reason, whenever our HBCUs go out on the left coast, we tend to have great crowds with our various events out there on the left coast. Maybe it's a supply and demand type thing. There is no supply of HBCUs out there. So when we do go out there, it's a special treat, especially because, there are plenty of our alums in California, Arizona, and other places in the West on West Coast. So definitely a good opportunity for them. And HBCU going all the way out there. More power to them. I think it's great that they want to pick up a game that is outside of our traditional markets. Out there in Vegas, if they need some help out there, give a brother a call. I might be able to put in a vacation day, see if I can get out there. No.
I agree with you. We might be working together on that project.
But it's
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just saying it's still a whole lot of buzz about the game. I think everybody who I know is making plans to be out there in Vegas that weekend. So, Jackson State's going to always bring a fan base. So I'm looking forward to that being a really great turnout, especially like you said, AD, whenever, HBCUs go out toward the West Coast, it's always, like you said, a bit of a treat.
The only thing that I'm scared of, Charles, is that it's in Vegas. And I hope that we actually make it inside the game and don't get to pulling the one-arm bandits too much.
Oh, that's gonna happen.
Because ain't no clocks in the casino, so we go, oh God, I missed the whole doggone game, and it off my paycheck.
Yeah, the blackjack tables, they gonna be hot. They gonna be hot that weekend.
Yeah, you gonna have some folks that get wins and wins. You gonna have folks that got a win and loss, and you gonna have some folks that have loss and loss.
Yeah, good point. Hold on, I think FAMU the weekend right behind that. So it's Jackson State got a murderer's row there going.
And we hoping they jet lag. Y'all could have bragged this year, correct, Charles?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So that.
And guess what? The band's coming too.
I don't know why. But the only thing is, since y'all go first, please don't step on our time.
I can't promise you that. The show is coming to brag. So guess what? Get ready.
That's a big deal. Big deal. Talking about some more football. We got a D2 NCAA D2 D1 FCS matchup out of the SIAC and the MEAC. Morgan State adds Central State to its 2025 schedule. Morgan State football non-conference schedule for 2025 is now complete. The Bears are set to host Central State, a member of the SIAC, on Saturday, September 20th, early in the season. Matchup will take place in a familiar confines of Hughes Stadium in Baltimore, providing a home field advantage and a chance to build some momentum for the early in season. With that being said, not only do I want your thoughts in terms of this particular matchup, but just your thoughts in how you look at these D2 FCS matchups. A couple of years ago, we saw some key upsets as well, but not so much last year, other than the one that really shocked a lot of people coming out of Atlanta at greater area, which is Clark Atlanta going down to the beach. That's Daytona, that is, and beating up on Bethune-Cookman. But what are your thoughts in general, starting with you, AD Drew, and then I go to you, Charles, in terms of how do you feel about these D2 versus FCS Division I matchups? And I ask that because you have the opposite side of playing up, whether it's the Power 5, 4, Super 2, Power 2, as I like to refer to them, or even the G6 now that some people are calling it. What are your thoughts first on the D2, FCS, D1, HBCU matchups in comparison of these other matchups?
Bring me that check, y'all. That's the way I look at it as a member of a D2 institution. Bring me that check. But after you get past the financial portion of it, one thing, Dr. Cavil, and a lot of this may be due to the portal. There was a point in time, Dr. Cavil, when the D2s and the FCSs competed, and there was not a huge talent disparity between the two. The first 11 on the D2 could play with the first 11 on the D1s. Then you started seeing the shift where the FCS teams started to be a lot better because it wasn't necessarily ones versus ones, but their 2s and 3s at the FCS level were better than the 2s and the 3s at the Division II level. Now it's kind of market correcting itself with this transfer portal because you've got a lot of kids who would have been playing at the FCS level, but they hit the portal thinking they're going to go up. There's nothing up. All the FCS rosters are full, and they wind up, and that talent winds up pushing down. So at the D2 level, we've been a bit kind of unfortunate beneficiary of the transfer portal, which has allowed the D2s to kind of close that gap back a little bit. So, in theory, the FCSs should be better because 63 versus 36 is always going to be more any day of the week. But that talent gap is getting smaller and smaller because of the portal and the landscape of the portal, especially because our FCSs have just about as much NIL money as we have, which is a sum squat of 0 right now.
Good stuff. Charles, where are you at on this?
I think, AD, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I don't see the gap is wide. And I think, like you said, 11 on 11, is pretty heads up. But you start seeing the gap, just like when FCS teams are playing up to FBS teams. You start to see the separation in the 2s and 3s and things of that nature. But, I've lived through the Kentucky State when they knocked off Jackson State in the Circle City Classic. So, I don't have that arrogance towards D2s. That some fans might have. We saw it last year with Clark, Atlanta, and Bethune-Cookman. So I think it's foolhardy to go in just thinking you just gonna beat somebody's head in because if your team is not at that level, you could take a good punch in the nose. So you have to be cognizant of that. I think Jackson State was leaps and bounds ahead of quite a few D2 teams last year. We saw that when they played Lane early in the season. And that kind of gave you some indication of what Jackson State was kind of looking like last year when they really whooped up on Lane. But, like you mentioned, AD, the market kind of corrected itself once we got to Clark, Atlanta, and Bethune. So it'll be very interesting to sit back and watch. There are some contests that I'm very interested to watch. Tuskegee has a early season matchup with Jackson State. So that's going to be a fun one to me. WC Gordon Classic.
Didn't Lane get Tennessee State a couple of years ago? 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That's when they played in the hole. One of the few games they played in the hole.
Yeah. So what we're gonna have to do as it get closer to football season, we're gonna have to look at the D2 FCS matchup to see if we can pick that one that D2, because the D2s get one every year. Somebody gets caught every year. We got to see if we can pick that game.
I like it. Year before that, we had a couple of them on the same weekend when you had Valley go down.
Well, I'm always looking for that team that can throw the football at the D2 level. That has that quarterback, like we saw last year with Clark, that has that quarterback that can, get that quick game up and going, and that can give you fits, that can keep a defense out there on the field. That's where I start leaning, when I start taking a look at those matchups.
Yeah.
Hey, with that being said, let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side. I want to talk a little bit on this other side, talk a little bit more about the spring winning meetings between the MEAC, SWAC, see your thoughts on what you like to hear, or what do you think are going to be some of the biggest things on the agenda and why. We'll talk about that after this last break.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACTalents.com.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington as he is out on assignment. We have Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew. With that being said, as I had after the break, I wanted to talk a little bit about your thoughts in terms of these winter meetings. We're going to start with the MEAC. What do you think is going to be on the table? Obviously, they're excited in terms of going this year with the move for the football media day, which I think is a big deal heading to Baltimore in terms of pro stadium. But besides that, what are some of the action items that you believe are going to be there, or what are some of the things that you'd like to see? I'll start with you, A.D. Drew. What's on your mind in terms of the MEAC media day?
In terms of the MEAC meetings, I think it's going to be a discussion. You always have to talk about the conference as far as possible what's our plan for expansion, especially football. I want to see what their game plan is going to be with FCS being allowed 12 games every year now. What their scheduling model is going to look like. We have seen some conferences play each other twice in the same season. Does the MEAC adopt that type of schedule, especially if they have teams start having difficulty getting games, or they may go to, say, 8 games? If they've got a 5-game schedule now, they go to a 7-8 game conference schedule just so they can get, make it easier for scheduling purposes to get opponents. I want to see things. Like that. Some of the other sports, basketball. There are gaps in the MEAC basketball schedule. As a fan, can we do something about that? Some teams are able to go out and get a non-conference matchup. Some teams are all for 10, 14 days, smack dab in the middle of the season because of how the MEAC schedule overflows. So maybe, instead of playing 2 games a week during certain portions of the season, maybe you can go to 1 game a week so that you don't have such a large gap in the schedule. I know one weekend they always have the gap is during the King Day weekend, which, I'm sorry, HBCU should never be off during the King Day weekend. So, doing those type of market corrections, those are a couple of issues I'm looking for from the MEAC.
Let me ask a question real quick, Doc. Like, with regards to the MEAC football scheduling, would that not create an opportunity to look at a potential school for expansion?
That was me for Doc.
No, it was for either one of you. I didn't know if Doc was frozen.
Yeah, I'm here. When you talk about a expansion from that perspective, what do you mean opportunity for expansion?
I mean, AD mentioned that it potentially filling out a schedule. The opportunity to play teams twice on the schedule. Does it create at least an opportunity to say, you know what, we need to bring in, or we need to look at, trying to bring in 1 or 2 more schools within the conference so that, we're not looking
certainly, I think I can jump in. Certainly they want expansion, but the problem with expansion is it's a two-way street. Not only do you want teams, you got to find teams that want to join, and then you got to have the point that not only does a team want to join, it has to be approved by the president's chancellor, so they got to see it as a fit. We seen this earlier. Chicago State is now bringing back football. I think that's an interesting dilemma. Do they go back and try to recruit Chicago State? Because from everything we heard, the ADs, which was out in the public sphere, the ADs voted for it. Obviously, in a lot of ways, the conference probably wanted it, but it got to the presidents and they voted it down. Now, we were understood from what my sources were telling me, one of the major concerns from presidents and chancellors, they didn't have football. They really wanted to have expansion with somebody with all sports members, potentially at least certainly with football and for the most part baseball, because they're looking at the idea of trying to bring baseball back as a conference sport and at least 6 members to do that. From that perspective, well, we see now that Chicago State has moved forward with football and NEC as a conference member. Do you try to pull them back? How does it work with Chicago State when they finally got administered conference? Do they turn around and leave and pivot that fast and make it worth their while? Do the president's chancellors have a different take on that? Obviously, we heard the talk about Division II programs, but a lot of people are seeing a lot of pause on that. We did have the discussion just recently with Tuskegee in terms of at least the AD putting it out there that it be something that they have interest in down the road, but it has to align with the presidents and the priorities. With no real timetable of what that looked like, which you could imagine. But we also got to put in the concerns you have with D1 right now. You had the increase of what it costs to move to D1. That affects some people's decisions. And there's a lot of questions about being D1 right now. So this is not the same D1 that we thought about, even 5 years ago. Certainly not 10 years ago. So how much of a challenge does that even make it for a Division II program to consider moving up? I think it's one thing to try to maintain Division I status, but it's different in terms of moving the Division I with the idea Division II still has the old model where you're providing scholarships opportunity. But Division I model, no matter where you are, a lot of folks are talking about how do they increase revenue opportunities in terms of this new model of name, image, and likeness. And the idea, if this NCAA house settlement passes, now you have to have a budget that allows you to provide funds directly from your revenue coming into your institution to the players. What does that look like for teams moving in Division I? And then you have to get in to the conversation. How many, what we refer to, or I refer to as historically white colleges at the Division I level, how many of those schools would have a serious interest of coming into the HBCU space and vice versa? Do HBCU presidents see it as a fit? Again, we got to look at this in this current environment, which we see from a political landscape. What does that look like? So I don't think it's just as easy as going, quote unquote, to recruit schools. I think there's a lot that goes into it. And one of the challenges, frankly, that the MEAC has had as of late. You know me, I told you I would like to see schools go after Clark Atlanta. A lot of people have questions of what that looks like. How would you entice them from that perspective? Obviously, we've had the early discussion with Morehouse. Drew is not at liberty to really talk about that. But now they got to transition from a new president. How does that change stuff? What does the board really consider about seeing Morehouse in a different brand and a light? So I think there's a lot of space, a lot of things out there where I think expansion from that standpoint is going to be interesting. I'm more focused from the D2 level and NAI level. I think we've seen more action on that level late than any level. And I think sometimes we shortcut that and don't realize that's where a lot of the action is can you see the SIEC growing? Or can you see the HBCU AC growing? What does that look like in terms of expansion? Drew, any thoughts in terms of the SIC? Since we kind of talk about that before we go to SWAC, let's give some love. CIAA SIC Media Days. I know the SIC just had one. What are your thoughts in terms of what's being discussed there from a Division II level, which we don't hear much about in terms of their media days, but a lot of planning and structures going on there. Last couple of years, what we've seen come out of the SIC and CIAA is a lot more partnerships in terms of crossover play, a lot more trying to plan for postseason, particularly in the sport of football. What are your thoughts in terms of what you're hearing or would like to hear at the SIC media days?
Obviously, I'm not at liberty to kind of go deep dive into the SIAC meetings, which I have been a part of, but it's always.
I was trying to trick you and see if you would spill some beans.
Oh no!
Smart on your side. Smart on your side.
No. But what I will say is that there's interesting discussions to some of the various proposals out there on the table when it comes to things such as scheduling and other things that are out there, media rights agreements, a lot of different things like that. And all that stuff is important because, especially at the Division II level, those are budgetary items that you have to plan for. How much do the institutions get out of their media rights agreements? What does our scheduling model look like? How many days out of class will these student athletes be out of class? Division Ones have opportunities to fly. Jackson State has opportunities to fly to certain places where Division II, you're gonna be on that bus. And those 12, 14-hour bus rides, get kind of tough. 3 days, 4 days out of class. So, different things like that when it comes to the scheduling, going to be interested. Obviously, with all of these meetings, CIAA, SIAC, MEAC, SWAC, even HBCU championship play. How many teams get in? What the tournament format looks like. Those are the different things that are being discussed in all these meetings. So it's a lot out there, and you start off in your various committees, senior women administrators, your SIDs, your sport coaches. It goes to the ADs. ADs make their votes and do that. But certain things, even with AD say yes, like Dr. Cavil said, even with the Chicago State thing, even with AD saying yes, some of these things still have to go up to the president before they're ratified and the conference constitution is ratified. So just going through that process, that's why these meetings are a lot of times hush because there are certain things that 80% of the people won't, but that last vote, you may not be able to get it because of a institution's president or the finance person at that institution says, no, that's not going to work for us. You need to vote no, Mr. President or Madam President. So there are a lot of different things that go on to it. But what happened in the SIAC meeting, Dr. Cavil? Can't tell you, my brother. Can't tell you.
You'd be surprised. I have my sources. I heard there's some folks that have,
but that source was. But I need you to publicly say that source was not me.
Oh yeah. No, the source is not you. I got some AD level sources. I got some other sources. I got some good sources, man. I got some presidential level sources. Y'all.
That's right.
Y'all don't think high enough of Dr. Cavil. I got some commissioner type sources. I think there's a team. I've heard of some institutions that potentially have some eyes for the SIAC. I'm just saying. I won't drop that now, who that is, but with that being said, let me go to you, Charles, so we can get Drew out of some trouble. He don't want. He think we telling on him. You're good, Drew. Charles.
I used to work in politics. I know how to talk around the question.
Right. They all look at Dr. Cavil anyway. They're gonna blame it on Dr. Cavil, not you. Talk a little bit about the SWAC Media Day. I guess you might have to be careful too. All these folks now, y'all got these consulting and high jobs out here and everything. Can't talk business no more. Charles, what do you want to see done at the SWAC office? What do you think is going on? Put it this way: what do you think is going on in terms of the spring meetings?
I think the rule changes that the NCAA has brought about, like, you know, how do you adjust to it? I think those are going to be the kind of the big things that I'm curious about, especially when you're talking about what direct, you know, financial benefits to athletes. Like, what sort of stress and strain does that put on, you know, everybody's, you know, boosters and alumni, this, that, and the other, scholarship caps. You know, things of that nature. All these rules that just came out literally in April. How is everybody like adjusting to what it is they have to do with regards to that in terms of how it affects how they recruit from here going forward, what strategies that they have. So you know, it's just certain things that you kind of are curious in terms of where is the you know, the office itself thinking in regards to how to adjust to these new rulings that have come out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's going to be a large part of the discussion, to seeing what takes place in regards if this House NCAA 7, they still believe it's going to take place, but what does that look like moving forward? I think that's going to be a significant part of the discussion. Obviously, scheduling is always big in terms of various sports. And then I'm always interested in what new things that the coaches put on the table and how much of the work they've done behind it to help see if they can convince the ADs to support it. And those things don't always come out. So I'm always fascinated by coaches because they think about things totally different and oftentimes than the ADs and the VPs. And then in conclusion, what do the VPs and ADs like to put in front of the presidents for them to ratify? Drew, before we get out of here, go ahead and let me get your thoughts, final thoughts on that.
You know, Charles said something about the new scholarship limits. You know, we've got three sports that are going from head count sports to equivalency sports. That being football and men's and women's basketball. So how are we going to attack that? And I'll take baseball, for instance. First of all, your roster is going from 40 to 34, but your scholarships are going from 11.7 up to 34. Well, for our low resource institutions, how do we attack that and still have a competitive, I guess competitive lead? Because Dr. Cavil, if you put no caps on it and you allow, say, a institution that has a little bit more resources to just go out, and you may have an institution that goes 24, 25 scholarships this year. Well, you have some institutions that are still only giving out 5 scholarships. What kind of lead do we have if we have that? So I want to see if we're going to grow this together. 18, all right, guys, you're going from 11.7, you can go up to 18 this year. We can go 22 year after that. We can go 28 year after that. However, we're going to grow it. But along with that, Dr. Cavil and Charles, I want to see a scholarship minimum. You have to offer a minimum of X amount of scholarships. If we're going to cap you up here, the minimum that you can give out is this. If you because we want our league to be competitive in whichever sport that we choose. That's what I would love to see.
Good stuff to hear those dialogue in terms of that. Some of y'all are in the room. Some of y'all would like to be a fly on the wall in the rooms, and others just want to be. With that being said, I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from Inside the Lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. I want to also thank AD Drew for joining us and producing today, hitting the buttons to get it done. Again, I want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back on Thursday at 6 o'clock. So give you your hottest and latest on the news in terms of HBCU sports in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattacavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook. Dream big. Continue to move forward, and we will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
AD.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Travel light, everybody.